right now, humanity has the chance to wipe the slate clean. I see a lot of my clients externalizing the shift and how do I activate my light body, but then they're completely ignoring their inner child that's really hurt because their father left. We're not just here to clear out a little bit of hurt from this or my dad said that. No, you're clearing out templates of very traumatic experiences in a very, very, very short period of time. I think first wave of contact is altered states of consciousness contact. Every time I channel, I'm channeling galactic beings, I'm channeling hybrid beings, I'm channeling higher consciousness. People's electromagnetic bodies and frequencies and fields need to be very pristine to hold the resonance, to energetically connect to higher consciousness beings. You can shift your beliefs, you can heal yourself, and you can reclaim your multidimensional consciousness if that's your intention, and you do it in a grounded way, because at the end of the day, it's already happening.
Today, I welcome back to the podcast, Katie Jameson. And wow, this podcast definitely dives down a rabbit hole. Katie is a multi-dimensional channeler, energy channeler, you would say. And she also helps teach people how to master their own energy and consciousness as well. And I had a private session with Katie remotely, and she worked on me energetically. And we dive into what came out of that session. I guess I'm on the podcast, I'm putting myself out there a bit more, being a bit more vulnerable and open about my own journey, because as you probably know if you watch my podcast, I'm mainly interviewing other people. But this was a great conversation. It definitely goes down the rabbit hole. Katie talks about her visions and her predictions as well that she had been having. And yeah, fascinating conversation. So be sure, if you're watching this on YouTube, let us know what you think in the comments below. Even if you've had a session with Katie, let us know as well. And also let us know where you are in the world. It's great to engage and connect and continue to get these messages out there. And of course, if you enjoy it, please subscribe to my channel, wherever you're listening. And anyway, it helps that gets these conversations out there as well. And lastly as well, if you want to find out what we're up to, we're going to be in Bali soon. That's almost sold out, that 5-day retreat. Come and join us. There's probably a few spots left. We're going to be in Australia in June and Croatia in November as well. So plenty of opportunity. Come with us, come and connect. I love it. I love this stuff. Anyway, much love from me. Enjoy this episode with Katie. It's incredible. Katie, welcome back, my lovely.
Hello, Guy. Thank you for having me. And hello, all of the people listening.
We had a session, I think it was 2 days ago. Was it 2 days ago?
That was like a week ago. Yeah, it was 2 days ago.
2 or 3 days ago. And so where I was the client and you were doing your magic and your work. And it's quite funny because you said, oh, just see how you go the next couple of days. And I didn't sleep for 2 nights. Like really just humming. It really took me back to when not long after I had my first kind of major shifts, when you can feel your third eye opening, you can feel energy moving through your body, you can feel presence. It was pretty intense, but this time I didn't fight it. I just let it run its course. And of all things, you didn't know this, but I had Greg Braden on the podcast yesterday morning. And I had him booked.
Oh, go Greg.
I had him booked in for about 9 months. And the only slot I could get was 5 a.m. in the morning, right? And I thought, it's Greg Braden. I'm not going to say no, am I? So it was literally the day after your session and I didn't have a wink of sleep. I was humming and I just kind of plonked myself in front of the computer, got it all ready and then turned it on. And I was like, I really hope that podcast makes sense from my end, but we'll see. But Greg's a beautiful human. It was just interesting.
I feel like that would have been the same frequency thing. You would have just been buzzing and he would have been buzzing.
Yeah, he is a legend. It was funnily enough, it was a really important podcast, leaning into maybe some of the things that we talk about today. Yeah, he's an amazing man. But anyway, let's regress back to this. Just for people that didn't listen to your first podcast, how would you best describe yourself, what you do? Because even Linda asked me, how was the session? What happened? What does she do? What come out of it? And I was like,
It's kind of unquantifiable for many reasons because one, you're in a very, not a super altered state of consciousness, but I would say that I'm a multidimensional slash quantum energy activator. I find patterns in your multidimensional field from galactic lives or past lives, or everything is right now. So I see the soul as a signature frequency that has a fundamental frequency, and then all these harmonics and overtones, and this creates up you have the oversoul, and then you have all of these fractals of your soul's incarnational experiences. And I detect any imbalances that are hindering you from. My whole mission is empowering people to recognize their true multidimensional selves as very, very gigantically powerful beings. So I just read through an energy field and I find where the blocks are, what happened, what the lessons were, and just relay this through the guise of connecting with guides and ascended beings and galactic consciousness. And then I'm a channel. So I run frequencies and codes and light language and energy. Light is information. And I see energy fields. So I run it through specific parts of the body to recalibrate and activate. And then a large part of it is depending on the readiness of the person. So if someone's like, I'm sick of this and this and this, and they come to me, we can make very big quantum shifts.
Totally. And I've felt everything you just said when I was in that experience, having that session with you. So quick question for you, thinking of the listeners as well. And how would you describe how would you describe the multidimensional self, like the human being? If we had to create a visual of it, let's say there's Guy and there's his multidimensional self. This is what it kind of looks like.
I would say, let me talk you through what it actually looks like for me. What I did is I opened up a portal of a guy's frequency or anyone's frequency, and then I take us to a different dimensional realm. So this 3D dimension is a bit dense, right? We can all agree. And there's the 5th dimensional. It doesn't really matter about, I think people can get caught of like, we're in the 11th dimension or the 15th or the 12th. Doesn't matter. We go to a higher dimensional realm. And then I just see our human body walk into a beautiful space. Sometimes we go onto a ship. Sometimes we're in the angelic realm. I think for you, we worked with the angelics. Yeah. And then I just see your guy's body laying here. And then I see vibrating strings of energy, right? All over here. And then I see your human energy field, which is a sphere. And then I start to look at like limiting beliefs or thoughts. And then what I see is like templates. So if you imagine like this is the auric field, imagine that there's a layer here, and then a layer here, and then a layer here, and then a layer here. And then all of these nodular points, if I find, this is where it's cool, if I find an imbalance, say this is your throat chakra, imagine that your human body's laying there, and it's your throat. I can find in like the 5th, 6th, 7th layer a discrepancy. And then it's like, on your iPhone, when you zoom into something and you're like following the map, I come through a wormhole, and then I'll watch a lifetime play out where I think you were a warrior and you went into battle and you took the responsibility of people so deeply onto your shoulders. And then what I do is I read out that versions of you's energy field. So I'm looking in at the depletion of like the burden of responsibility on your shoulders. And it comes to me as feelings and thoughts and impressions and words. So a lot of it I'm claircognizantly, I'm just talking, and it's all truth, and it comes from this unified field of consciousness that we're all connected to in those higher realms. And then it's very visual for me. So like I'm just seeing things, saying things, and then when it starts to clear, I use specific protocols and techniques to pinpoint and localize an energy. I open up a portal in the side of your field, and then there's a link to God source light, and then I just pull it out of your frequency. Or different galactic technology, Merkaba, electromagnetic Merkaba pulls energy into the center point, and it instantly transmutes into the original source light. And then once we've cleared, we activate your energy system to its highest original template. So it's like you bring in a new template over the energy field, and this, through light and sound and color, activates your God source frequency. So this is what I teach, and this is what I do. There's probably like 15 different steps in doing it, but there's definitely a protocol and a way to read it. And it's not, it's not really that hard. It might seem like, whoa, that's cool. But once you do it again and again, it's easy.
Are you eyes closed and you seeing that, like visually seeing that in your mind's eye?
Yeah, very visually. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And when I used to do sessions with people, it kind of freaked me out a bit too much. Like a dragon flew in, and that was with my physical eyes. Their daughter who died was standing there with my physical eyes, Jesus with my physical eyes. So I've seen energy with my physical eyes in this space, but I'm obviously in a different state of consciousness. I've raised my frequency, and they've like we're meeting at the same resonant wavelength of angstrom of light.
That's fascinating because
but mostly with my eyes closed.
Yeah, wow. Because like I've done Akashic Records training, like just out of curiosity, and I was like, one of the things that kind of stood out to me is like, oh, I'm already doing that when I'm at the retreats. I just kind of dial in, and it's like a switch comes on, and there's like oomph, there's this huge amount of energy. This like sometimes I can't move,
right there,
right? And you're in it, and then images will start to flash up or different things. But I haven't intentionally taken it to somewhere like you are. Like it's like wow,
yeah.
you know.
I think everyone's doing what I'm talking about, but it's like you haven't gone through the steps of this is how to ground yourself and regulate yourself, and this is how to extract information in a controlled way. But it's just like, if you did this at school, you would know how to do this. You know what I mean? At school, you learn semester 1, semester 2 of a topic, of a course. So that's why it's important to develop those skills if that's of your interest. But yeah, there's so many frameworks for healing that largely based in higher dimensional realms where everything is available. Like everything is available.
So when you see, we'll keep leaning into me as an example for a second, just for our listeners as well, because like when you see,
it was fascinating.
It was definitely some things, highly resonated with me. But when you, to help people as well, then when you see that multidimensional self and you talk about things that might be stuck in the field, or they'd be recurring, it could be from a past life or something else that's happening. So is that like almost then a glitch in a whole operating system program that's affecting me in this lifetime, in this moment, by clearing that?
I wouldn't say it's a glitch. I would say it's like an electrical charge that has a negative ion or particle or density attached to it. So if you think about the circuitry system of your being, I would say that it's like imagine like an electrical wire and everything's flowing smoothly. A negative limiting belief or construct is like a bulge in the wire, and instead of everything running through, the program is now issuing out this bulb and attaching that perspective and lens. Or if you think about the pyramid, the crystal, and the light refracting through, one white light refracts through, and then the holographic nature of reality is projected. So the rainbow light comes out. You're the vessel projecting light through the lens of your capsule, your body, and that is creating the appearance of reality. If there's a smudge on the outside of the crystal, a limiting belief, a lack from say you have your multidimensional crystal, my father left me in that life and I never got to see it and I felt rejected. So, you got the bandage of rejection consciousness over your crystal. When the light of your higher self is refracting through, it's diminished the rainbow light. So now if you think about the light waves that are being refracted, now you're going to feel and see the experience of rejection. You're going to feel and see and magnetize to you more experiences that must correlate to the patterning on that crystal of yourself. Does that make sense? So it's like, it's electrical and it's a charge, and it also affects the magnetization of true reality to you, and it also it programs you to perceive certain situations from that lack, or it's not really lack, it just is what it is. You believe that you've been rejected, so that's what you feel and see.
Yeah, even though you might not even consciously be thinking it.
Oh, right? No. And like, you don't consciously realize that everything that happens to you, you make up, because that's a horrific truth to think. But when you step into the empowered state of, I am actually the one holding the light into the crystal, and now you become your God source self of like, I program myself and I am the light and I'm the one creating this. It becomes easier. It's kind of like a game. You break it down. You're like, where are my imbalances? Where are my blocks? Where are my beliefs? How do I lovingly release them to show the true light of who I am?
So it's interesting because there's me and there's the egoic part of me thinking, well, I've done a lot of work on myself. I've been leaning into this shit for a long time.
I know. That's good you say right? that.
And, I'm fine. And then I come in and have a session with you. I have sessions all the time. I have an energy healer I see after every retreat and stuff like that, who rather stays anonymous, and I see him remotely and they help me clear whatever's there. And it's like a self-care process, right? And then I come in and we have a session Wednesday, and I'm like, yeah, this is just popping in, babe, I'll be back soon. And I lay down, and then I was like, fuck, I feel like coming on, the energy's moving. You're like, and I have to, like, you clearly go into a different altered state, and you're speaking and you're doing light language, and the stuff that's coming through, and I can feel all that, and I'm like, oh wow. And then afterwards, I'm just zonked. I am absolutely,
Oh,
I am
100%.
walking around like a zombie, mate. I got the kids climbing over me, and I'm like, my husband goes in, and now he crawls out, like, and
That's what quantum energy does. Like, you're always connected to all those parts of you. You're just not consciously aware. So when something in the back of your energy field is being worked upon, it filters down very slowly and it's nonsensical to your human mind. So that's why it's cool to have quantum healings because, and I love that you said that, Guy, because a lot of people, I think, feel that. And I want to pay homage to people that feel like they've done a lot of work before, because a lot of people come and see me and they leave almost like disappointed in themselves because they thought that they
oh
had
wow,
done more. And I want to say, like, that's a totally normal feeling. And I think the part, like, I think it brings up emotions of anger, like that you've been doing this for 10 years. But what I want to say is, like, and this is what I said to you before, right now, humanity has the chance to wipe the slate clean, to transmute the eons. And when I mean eons, like literally eons of templates of separation consciousness, of lack consciousness, of rejection, of all of the things that we've programmed ourselves to have the experience to learn who we are. No shit, you can't clear that in 10 years. You know what I mean? Like, lovingly, of course you can't clear that. And of course you haven't seen that. And I think that there are healers that are coming online that are trained in their DNA quantumly to adjust these things. And I feel like I'm one of them. And there are people that are bringing on their own medicines from higher dimensions to provide more thorough and in-depth healing because we're ready for it. You know, we're not just here to like clear out a little bit of hurt from this, or my dad said that. No, you're clearing out templates of very traumatic experiences in a very, very, very short period of time. So like zoom out, you know what I mean?
big time. Yeah, I do say it tongue in cheek, but at the same time, there was definitely a part of me in there like that. Um,
That's normal.
yes, it is interesting that you say those things, and I wonder as well because you gently give me a kick up the arse as well afterwards regarding about being owning my gifts and owning being a healer, and like it's like those things that come into the forefront, and to lean into those areas of life. And I do find those things interesting because listeners, everyone, we're all guilty of wanting to embrace what we are drawn to do and really follow the heart and soul's aspect. And I know, like, even people will look from the outside looking in, see me running events, see me running retreats, see me running the podcast and leaning in, and it looks like I'm doing it. But I know at the same time there's like a bit of a handbrake to really surrender into that. And I raise that because I'll make a commitment into 2025. This will be going release. I will continue to lean into those areas of my life because I feel that's where we all trip over. That's where we can get caught out sometimes. And
And that's where your power is. Like they
yeah,
said that you are a phenomenal healer and that this universe is a mentally constructed a universe. So your mind is really powerful and you're a healer to help people with very specific imbalances that you find in their field. And you can add an extra layer of more one-on-one or personalized healing when you take like reverence for yourself and hold yourself that, yeah, you're a healer and you're a powerful healer and you can help people very quickly. They were showing me when the people are ready to be helped quickly. So it's like, why wouldn't you step into that? Because you fear this and you're worried of this, you know, all of these lack vibrations.
totally. And I one thing I do struggle with, Katie, is being put on a pedestal in any shape or form. I'm just a guy from
Yeah.
Wales, right? And just do this thing. And I do the podcast. I do what I do, even with the events and stuff, because I love it. And I love that giving and receiving, that cycle of life that gets created and that flow of energy that comes from that. And there's nothing more
Yeah.
rewarding. So when it's so easy to get put in a box, and I think there's some belief or fear around that, then I'll get boxed
100%.
into that area. And it's like, I just want people to know me for me being me, and and in
100%.
society, we're very good at not doing that and putting people
And
in
I
that
think
box.
also like as you just said, like, yeah, I've had lifetimes where I have been like guruified I've seen lifetimes where I had to clear where I was in my power, and people projected their things onto me. They felt disempowered in relationship to me, and I didn't like that. There are lifetimes where too much was put onto me, and then I made a mistake, and it hurt people, right? So then I was persecuted for that. There's lifetimes where you've abused your power. Like, there's so many reasons why you would be fearing your power. And then also in this human reality, people don't necessarily like people that are very bright and shiny. Look at how we treat Hollywood. Look at how we over exemplify our worth into that of others. There is a toxic imbalance that is being rebalanced now. So I think we're moving into the era where gurus are not necessary. It's just everybody walking each other home in that higher octave. And then when you say that you don't want to be put in a box, it's like, how much discernment do you have to recognize, am I disempowering myself and playing small because I'm fearing that someone might think that I think I'm hot shit? Or am I owning my power and letting it be the truth with a capital T and just being like, well, I'm nothing more and nothing less than what I am. I just am what I am. And you're living from that. So only the individual person can recognize the true part of them that is saying or behaving these ways.
True. Everyone's going to have their perception anyway, in there at the end of the day.
And that's not your business. It's like one of the best things I ever heard is like, it's literally none of your business what another person could think about you. Like, it's actually just not your business.
Yeah.
And I love that. And most people just love everyone anyway. I don't think that there's actually that much like judgment and hate out there. And if there is, it's like you love yourself enough to love yourself and also have compassion for that person that's obviously hurting in some capacity.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's like Christ consciousness. That's like Jesus's.
Yeah, well, let's talk about JC for a sec. I'm not I'm not a religious person in the slightest. I didn't grow up religious. I didn't have anything to unwind out of. I've never read the Bible.
Yeah. Whoa, crazy.
Yeah, right. I honestly.
You had no religious like no, none. None at school.
No.
Did you sing prayers?
Yeah, you would sing hymns when you're a kid.
But not.
I didn't know what they meant. Like, you just sing them because you're in the assembly hall and everyone's singing it in assembly in the morning.
Yeah.
I had no idea as an 8-year-old or whatever what the hell they're singing. And once I got into comprehensive, I never really went to school. And I've stayed out of the system ever since, really, in some respects.
Turned out well for you.
Eventually, but I had to ping pong left to right quite a lot before I found the through line, and but yeah, it was definitely an amazing training ground doing it that way, because then you really embody this stuff. But my question for you is that he's turning up a lot.
Yeah.
So I want to flip it on you for a moment though, because you said you saw him with your physical eyes. What happened?
There was times before I knew that I was like psychic or anything. And when I was very sick, I used to meditate a lot on the beach, and I didn't grow up. I would say that I grew up religious, but I was always like, this doesn't feel like me. Like, I was like, I respect everyone that believes in this and they're onto something, but this isn't my flavor and this isn't my people. And I was very much like on the outskirts of everything with my own beingness, watching everything. In a respectful way, of course. But yeah, I was laying on the beach and I went for a walk, and all of a sudden, it was crazy. And now I'm thinking back to it. We used to have this footsteps in the sand print, and it was like a message about Jesus walking with you and you looking back and you had no footsteps on the sand because he was carrying you the whole time. And we're used to reading that as a kid being like, oh, that's weird. But yeah, I was sick and I was walking along the beach, and then I was fully conscious, and then everything turned into pastel and light balls of light. So as I was walking on the beach, all of the reality just dissolved and everything turned into balls of light. And as I was walking, I felt so much elation and so much love and so much healing, because at that time I was very depressed. I was very sick. I was very, very alone. And then I saw next to me Jesus, and I was just standing in reality being like, hi. And it felt like, when it feels like limitless time, like it felt like forever, and it felt like no time at all had passed. And when it eventually stopped and I shifted back into consciousness, I looked back and there were no footsteps. I feel like crying. There were no footsteps on the sand behind me. Like none. There was no waves. There was no footsteps in the sand. And I was like, oh my God, am I going clinically insane? So that was like 10 years ago. And I was like, wow. And after that, my body started healing because that's when I did
No
have dengue
way.
fever. So my body started healing. So it was like a very healing experience. And then when I started to work more as a healer, the very first time in a healing session, I was at a hospital with a child who had an Indigenous girl who had throat cancer, which I thought was interesting. I felt like it was a manifestation of the repression of her people in her physical body. She ended up dying. She's on the other side. Hey, Summer. And as I was playing, I brought my crystal bowls into the hospital and did healing. And then all of a sudden, behind her, Jesus was standing, and he had it with my physical eyes. Obviously, I was in another dimensional state of consciousness, right? But I didn't have my eyes closed. And he had a chalice, and he started pouring golden liquid in, and then he started pouring it. And I watched it go into every little synapse of the brain, into every little nook and cranny, every cell, drip down, down, down. And then it started to pulsate golden light into the cancer, because the cancer was this big out of her throat. And it started to, and as I was reading it, I was reading the energy patterns of all of the trauma and shame and the negative emotions stored within there. And he stood there for about 5 minutes and then just disappeared. And then, yeah, I've had other experiences where, yeah, I see him all the time.
Wow.
But now I'm just like, you're just a being and I'm just a being and we're bros and there are millions of beings out there. Obviously, Jesus is a very powerful transmuter. And yeah, you can talk to him whenever. He's a pretty good friend. And I guess that's why so many religious people feel like he's their best friend.
Yeah, but you clearly don't have to be religious to have this connection and communication with them, right?
It's because we're multidimensional beings
That's
that can
right.
shift our awareness. Yeah. Yep.
So,
Super easy.
so how do you, with the work you did and with the work that comes in, and how do you then see it? Because obviously, what I loved about you having your session with you the other day and everything was about free will and asking for permission and do we have your permission and then we can go in, right?
Yeah, true. I forgot about
Right,
that.
which is
You have to. You can't
well,
clear something for someone that isn't ready.
that's 1,000%, right? So you've got to say yes, and
Yeah.
then once I agreed, everyone started laughing. I was like, great, buckle up, mate, we got you, right? So
It was kind of brutal. I feel like they were kind of very honest with you in a loving way. They were just very straight up,
no,
which I appreciate.
it's needed. Yeah, it's fine. I need a kick up the arse. But when you're working, then tell me what's happening. Are you seeing it as if we're multidimensional and we're seeing less than 1% of reality, and there's this huge amount of information beyond the physical senses, and they can be beings that are laying in different dimensions that are ever present, ever here. When we then creating a healing space, are they then working on you, or are you just giving permission for the universal flow? How do you see it? How does it happen?
They're all together. So we all join our frequency in a time, space, location, probably not time, but just a energetic space. And then I see your energy body here. And then I see angels like all around. And then I see higher self right there. And then I see galactics on this side. And then everyone, we get together. And like, I think I probably explained 0.02% of what was actually happening. So I'm doing my best. There's a higher version of me there that's like pulling out stuff, doing my weird alien galactic things. And then I am allowing them to impress upon me what they're currently doing at the same time. So I feel like I'm a guide to be like, okay, we're going to work on this that I found in your frequency. And then all of the energies are highlighted on that point. And then the information comes through. And then I start to clear, they start to clear. But if you imagine a being and their auric field, and then a being in their auric field, the resonant frequency of their fields are creating one over resonant frequency. So there's just a humming. It's always a sphere I see, container of very high frequency, multidimensional power. And a student had a question once in my training of if it's all life force energy, why do you even bother learning to be psychic? Couldn't you just open up the channel and let the spirit work? And I thought that was an interesting question. And my answer was, because we have the ability to create and affect change. And I think acknowledging and recognizing our multidimensional power and our gifts connects us into more fractals of ourselves on these other dimensions. And there is a fun And it's like, why do doctors become doctors? You know what I mean? There is a fun and there is an excitement to being working in tandem with the masters of light, and it makes everything, it's really fun to clear energy, and you are more powerful than you realize, to dissolve cancer, to affect change, to restructure your spine, to shift your unconscious beliefs, to unplug ancestral trauma, to release wounding. You're very powerful. We're very powerful.
Yeah.
Did that answer your question?
No, it does, absolutely. But it conjures up another one, and I just want to help get clarity for everyone listening as well. Is that then how would you say the relationship to your highest self is to you? Do you see yourself as like there's 10,000 Katies living in parallel lives right now, all feeding back to a higher self, and there's this individual part, or
I would say that the aspect of myself that is a healer, I would say that my physical body is remaining here, and I am bilocating or shifting the resonance of my consciousness. I'm probably in a gamma state into the view of my higher self that is there. Does this make sense? So I'll have like an astral body or an energy body. If I was to give you a bird's eye view, there's like the me that's like a little white energy system that's like do 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 do. Then there's probably versions of me that are the galactic beings that are there. So there's probably a version of me right now as an Arcturian being that's like, oh, I have medicine for Guy. I know how to do this recalibration, right? There's technology that we don't really know how to explain with human words. And then there's the oversoul me that I feel like I am channeling the information from there's like a link, but I just see her as one golden being of light. I'm not connecting to the Katie in a parallel life here, the Katie over there, this, that, the other. It's not important or necessary. I'm just connecting to one. I see her as golden version of my higher consciousness. And that's how I read your higher self. They're usually very tall. They're usually very beautiful. They're usually very loving and powerful. And they're usually very honest. And they will tell you exactly what the human version is doing, thinking, feeling, limiting. Everything's there because they're aware.
wow, it's pretty wild, isn't it?
It's absolutely crazy, and sometimes I have to be like, girl, that's crazy what you do, because it's so normal to me now. It wasn't normal at the beginning. It's probably been 5 years of really developing my skills, but now I'm just like, the more you do it, the more you realize that all people need is some training and some confidence and some drive, and we can help. We can all heal.
Totally. I was going to say, what was the catalyst for you to really then lean into these gifts that you're doing now? Because I guarantee most people listening to this podcast are wanting to lean into their own
To
gifts.
connect to
Yeah, and
themselves.
connect deeper.
Yay!
Yeah.
It's fun. I would say now that you've said that, I remember living in West End. Now that you've asked me that question, I remember, you scroll on the internet, I remember pulling up a random page and it said, learn how to heal with alien technology. And I'd never really looked up alien stuff. And I literally like almost felt like crying. And I was like, I just stared at it for ages. It was like a portal into remembering who I was. And I was like, what does that mean? What does that even mean? And then I fell into a very deep depression. So when I was awakening, I felt so desperately alone because I recognized, and I think a lot of people could resonate to this, when you start to explore your galactic consciousness, you're recognizing that there is an other than you as a human. And you start to wonder about that. You start to tune into that, and you start to feel a loss and a separation as you're recognizing more of yourself. There's an immediate understanding that because I am that and that isn't here, that there's separation. And for me, there was a longing for home. And if someone's had a spiritual awakening or a dark night of the soul, I didn't eat. I walked around like none of this was real. I was in between dimensions. Like I was seeing
Wow.
the hologram of imprint of people who had entities and seeing the entities and their energy. I was walking around and I could read people's thoughts. It was like too much, right? So I had to turn that down, and I just laid there for about a week, very, very, very depressed. And then I had to slowly pull myself out of that hole because all I wanted to do was go home. All I wanted to do was be with my family. All I wanted to do was feel good again. And I had to look at the reasons why I didn't want to be on Earth. But I think the main thing that got me into my galacticness was waking up on a ship and being worked on in a dream that was so lifelike that it shook me like to my core, where I was like, uh-oh, like, what is this? Like, what's happening to me?
Talk me through that. What happened? So you're laying in bed, or so when you say a dream, was it just extremely vivid? Like,
Yeah, so I was studying emotional anatomy in Brisbane at the Selves space in Brisbane, and we were going into lots of deep wound, like trauma things. And that night after school, I think I must have been reflecting so deeply, and I don't know really. I wasn't actually meant to see what was happening. So I've been a part of something called the Hybridization Program, and a lot of starseeds have been a part of it. It's where there's grays. Never heard of it?
No,
Okay.
please, no. Yeah.
Okay, all of humans, there is no such thing as like a non-galactically originated human. We are all intercorrelated species where different beings have taken different strands of DNA to create different beings. So there are like five, we're the sixth hybrid race of beings. There was a time where Greys, if you heard of the Greys, Zeta Reticuli, yep, okay, they kind of were dying out because they moved so much into their thought consciousness that their heart, the emotion, humans are very emotional beings. They had lost out on this emotional sense and started to, that's how you hear about abductions and things like this on the earth, utilize human and gray and other galactic consciousness to form a hybridized race that embodied more of the heart consciousness as well as the mind. In return, we got some advanced technological upgrades to our society, right? We have very smart people here as a result. The hybridization program is where they take beings and they take the genetics of them. Whether this is physical or energetic, it's both. There's lots of case studies of people going away and coming back and being left in a field, or not to go into a fear route. On some level, every being is chosen to be a part of this. Like it's usually down one lineage. Like my mom was a part of it and I was a part of it. I've met my hybrid children. I've met different galactic beings that have been used with my DNA on a different realm. There was like little blue beings and this green being, all different species, right?
Wow. When
I'm exposing myself
I
here.
know, no, this is great. Well done. um, when you,
We're in deep now.
yeah, we are in deep. When you say meet them, though, is that then in
In a QHHT session, I came into an
a what
interdimensional
session?
landing. Quantum hypnosis healing technique, quantum healing hypnosis. Yes, QHHT. If you haven't had one, go and have a
I
QHHT
haven't
session.
had
They
one.
put you under. Oh, go have one. I'll find someone good for
Hook
you,
me up.
and I'll hook everyone up if I think of their email address. You get hypnotized, and then you go somewhere, and then they ask you questions, and it all comes through your mouth. So in my session, I'm saying things to you, but in this session, Alba Weinman does it. She's really great on YouTube. You should watch some. And she put me under, and I came to the spaceship landing pod, and she's like, "Where are you?" And I said, "I'm in a world where worlds collide." And it's like if you go to Denver Airport or Brisbane Airport, it's a landing hub for all of these planes with all of these people coming from different cities. This was a space. And she said, "What's happening?" And I said, "I'm recognizing who I truly am." And then a door opened and she said, "What's happening?" And all of these little beings came and I just burst into tears. And I was like, they are my children. They are my hybridized children that I have agreed to share my DNA with. Their need for mother, it's a very different relationship dynamic in those different civilizations galactically. But yeah, we'll probably meet our galactic children in this lifetime or the next lifetime. It will be, there are hybridized children here now. Like my DNA isn't full human. I have different strands of DNA, as do you, as does everybody, right? So 99% of our DNA is the same, but 1% is very vastly different, and that informs our gifts and our abilities. And we have templates and codes within our DNA that holds the remembrance of why we're here and our gifts, so that we can talk about DNA activation later. But anyway, in my dream, I woke up on ship and they were opening my womb, and there was a mantid being who had a clipboard, and there was a small gray being who had a white jacket, and a large gray being who had a white lab coat. And as I was looking around, there were pictures all on the walls, and I could feel eyes watching me. So it was my consciousness hallucinating the impression or the metaphor that I was being recorded or watched. And then I started to say, "Oh shit, what are you guys doing?" And then they were like, "You shouldn't be awake for this. This wasn't what we agreed upon." And then I tried to pull they had me like laying down, and I tried to pull everything up, and I tried to like essentially escape. And then I woke up. And then I went into school the next day and I was like, I just had the weirdest dream that I was abducted and taken by aliens. And then everyone at school tried to talk me into like, it's because you felt rejected by your father and you're really working through a bit this and this. And I just remember I didn't talk to anyone for the whole day after that. And it just shook me. And now I know who I am. Over the last, like, that was 7 years ago. It's taken a lot of time for me to pendulum swing. Holy shit, I'm crazy. None of that's real. Everything that I know is real. None of that's real, into this balanced, grounded state where I can hold the human and I can, like, I didn't go outside for all of 2016. Like, I lived in Baden and I like didn't go outside. I didn't drive my car.
Wow.
I felt so rattled and I meditated every day. Like, this is separate to the other time where I had dengue. This is the time where I was really coming to terms with aliens are real. I'm galactic. I'm human. I'm a healer. All these programs of society are breaking down around me. Also, no one was waking up. None of my friends were waking up when I was waking up. So I had to do everything alone. And from the outside, I looked fucking crazy, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
just crazy.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's fascinating listening to that because I've not had a direct experience, but when we hold the healing circles at the retreat, quite often these, like, you can feel the presence of these big, like bigger than the beings coming in to support.
Yeah.
And
Bet you if you close your eyes and you ask to see them, you could see who they are and get information
I
from them.
probably should. I'm kind of caught because I'm running the healing and I'm kind of, half in.
You're on the job.
I'm on the job, like, you're half in logistics and half doing the work at the same time. But other people report that they've seen them, participants that come in. Oh my God, I saw this creature, this alien or whatever come in, and it was clear as day because the energy is so high at this point. It's fascinating. It's fascinating.
One girl was on the table in the room and so many beings came in that I actually had to ask beings to leave because I had my little Brisbane apartment. She was sitting there and then so many beings came in and I was like, one was sticking its head through the window and I was like, guys, you need to step back. And then she said at the end, after she finished, she's like, I liked it, but why did you keep like touching my leg? Like, you pushed me here and pushed me there. I was like, I actually don't touch anyone when I do a healing session. I hold my hands out here. And I was like, I didn't touch you. And she's like, there were 17 hands touching my energy, moving energy. So it's like, we're never alone.
Totally.
And you never know in a session who's going to come. And you ask and they'll come.
When I had just support what you were saying, when I had my Kundalini movement, my first one, and I laid down, I went into a orange ball of light, like it was very visceral and very real, and I felt a big hand and a presence come in and work on my shoulder, and that was my first real tangible experience going, well, fucking hell.
Well, I'll be fucking dead.
Yeah. This is, yeah. And once you have that, everything changes. Everything changes.
And I think it's our duty, or I feel it's my duty, to normalize
1,000%.
It's more, as I come into more of, like, I've just, like, not just grounded, but I feel like I'm very grounded in this now. It's like, no shit, there's other beings. It's more logical that there's hundreds and thousands of millions of beings supporting you on your soul's ascension than there is nothing. You know what I mean? And I think people are ready for that information, ready for contact, but it's about clearing the indoctrination, clearing the limiting patterns. A lot of the lightworkers, I run a lightworkers activation course where people can come and we all go live and I open up the group fields and do a quantum clearing for everyone. And a lot of things that they say is the predictive programming, the indoctrination from our movies about aliens, about all of the negative associations, all of the fear-based stuff has been programming us our whole life. And there's so much that you have to wipe clean to start to feel safe in the presence of higher dimensional beings. And this is necessary at this time.
Yeah. You spoke about pods as well. Why don't we touch on that before?
Oh, yeah. Like when they showed me different timelines of reality.
No, there's something.
No,
it was a pod 3. Let me think. Where was it? I got in a note somewhere. It's to do when you had the dream of the alien abduction, and then you started going.
I've been onto ships. Yeah, I've been onto different ships where I was able to like walk around. So in the ship, let me explain. You go onto ship, and then there's like different ships. So there's like one is named Athena. It's a Arcturian ship. And then there are smaller ships, right? I've been on different ships. As you go into the ship, the main docking area, there is an area where it's all glass and you're seeing out to the universe. You're seeing out to space, the cosmos. There is no need for anyone to control it. It looks to me like buttons, but obviously it's more advanced technology. It has to be filtered through my human brain as I'm looking around. And then beings kind of come to greet you at the forefront. And then I always go walking, there's like a hallway, and then there are rooms, and it goes zzz, and then the doors open and different things open up. Usually I go to the left room, and there's a chamber there where you go into an amphitheater, and it's a healing space. So it looks like it looks like when you go into the operation in a theater, right? And there's different technologies, there's different pods, there's different reading medical devices, there's different things that can look through your blood, look through for parasites, look through for cancers, diseases. You can learn to read that technology. And then there's different vortexes of light that pull toxicity out of the quantum fields, the beliefs. There's all of these different protocols and programs that you can run. They once did a DNA activation where they took a code of someone's DNA and they put it in a little, what are those glass beakers? And then they opened up this door and they put it in here, and it spun so fast that all of the cording came out and all of this debris came off it, and then it respun together, and then it went and all of this light, and then they put it back on the person, and then it holographically resonated and entrained physics into every other part of the DNA for it to get the message and the memo to vibrate to that. And that was pretty cool. I was like, damn. But I went into another room, and then there were all of these pods of liquid of different species and different beings. Like, there's so much stuff that we don't know is happening for our healing and for our good, but also for science, for creating different species, for regenerating parts. Like, there's a lot of galactic stuff that's I don't have access to things. They don't show me things that I'm not allowed to see.
Wow.
You know?
Do you think because all these conversations are happening more and more on the internet, like you can click it, like it's coming up, right? And
people are ready to talk, aren't they?
Yeah. We can hold a conversation like this, and people are going to find it, listen to it, and just not be so
think what they think,
right?
Yeah.
And it's going on, and there's different, and obviously with that freedom, it gives people to say anything as well, like and it can be outlandish or whatever it might be. But do you feel, with your experience with the galactic aspect of this journey, that they will reveal themselves, that they will actually start to appear and turn up, where us as a society are going to see it, know it, and be unrefutable?
Yeah, definitely. They're already revealing. So, like, I think first wave of contact is altered states of consciousness contact. And I would say that that's what I'm leading people through in the light workers. Every time I channel, I'm channeling galactic beings, I'm channeling hybrid beings, I'm channeling higher consciousness. So the first wave is embedding the impression of their energetic structures within your consciousness. And that's like where it's like, if you can handle that, let's go slow. But then, yeah, we're definitely going to be moving into, I think everything has to crumble first, and then we'll be moving into the collective consensus as the signature frequency of humanity being ready for physical contact. But I think it's not going to be as fast as maybe I don't actually watch anyone's content because I never want to blow mine. Once I finish my spiritual work, I go play with my kid and I don't do anything spiritual outside of that. I just can't, like, it's too much. But I think that people's electromagnetic bodies and frequencies and fields need to be very pristine to hold the resonance, to energetically connect to higher consciousness beings, not higher hierarchically, but just more light is in their frequency, to not fry out. So I think it's not going to happen as soon as we think for physical contact, because you don't want a whole wave of people going into a fear, fight and fright, stress response, and throwing off the vibration of Earth, right? There are different versions of Earth that are happening right now. But what they did show me in the 3 timelines of humanity was like, there's a timeline of humans that are going down the AI route in a negative, disempowered sense, where they showed me everyone wearing glasses. And this is before the Apple goggles came out. And I didn't know about that. But there's glasses and it chips into your brain, and your consciousness moves into the super consciousness of the AI, and then you're programmable, and then you can't get out once you've, like, they showed me like the Matrix, right? And then they showed me another wave of humans that don't move to the AI route, and they showed me beings walking around on a demolished earth. Everything was decayed. All of the technology was outdated. There's computers everywhere, buildings broken down. People were impoverished, right? And then they showed me another wave of beings where shit kind of went really wrong and then froze. And then it was very emotional. You can go and watch the people. I forget there are people listening to this. I feel like I'm just talking to you. People watching, there's a video on my channel called 3 Timelines of Humanity. And I said to Guy, like, I don't like to, I'm not predicting anything. I'm just saying what they showed me, and take it however you want it. It's just a metaphor or whatever, right? But they showed me time stopping, the sky opening up, ships coming down from where they already were. They were already sitting there. They're right there right now. And beings who are the first contact beings coming down, most likely more humanoid. So they showed me they had more human physical traits. They were still in a body, explaining what was happening. And then they showed me a bunch of people passing out because they couldn't handle the frequency. And then there are certain humans on this planet who are programmed and are here to help people with the contact, right? So then they showed me beaming some people up onto ship, and they showed me putting them in a little pod. And what happened is, one, they showed me these like goggles, and then they put a screen, and they said 3 weeks in suspended animation. This is just what they showed me. And we download the true history of humanity. So all of the indoctrination that we've been told about human this and blah, 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 and blah, 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 rewritten, and as to where we come from genetically, the Galactic Federation, all of our involvement as sentient beings with the rest of the life force energy in the universe. And then once that's caught up to date, they showed me there are these pods that have been developed where our energetic bodies and our physical bodies they showed it to me like blue liquid, but we can regenerate. So they say the ones that want to come back to Earth, come back without pains, without aches. We heal ourselves of the physical diseases. And they're showing me with galactic technology, like in Arcturus, they don't have disease. Like, you don't need to have disease on a planet. So they healed a bunch of humans, and then beings also chose not to come back. So they chose to go back on ship and reemerge with their star family. But everyone got the laydown, everyone got the message. And then essentially what happens is everyone got to work in this, what they showed me, cleaning up the schools, cleaning up the earth, cleaning up everything. And essentially the earth shifted into a different dimensional frequency where we were more able to see Fey consciousness, elven beings, all of our fifth dimensional friends that were embodied. We worked together, and they showed me after 3 generations of that, there would be no more pure humans. We had all intercorrelated.
Wow.
And take from that what you will. That's what I saw. It was very emotional for me to see it because I felt very sad at the ones that didn't come. But at the end of the day, everyone's on a timeline. Everyone's on a trajectory of your own choice and your own free will. And that's why it's important to empower people to recognize you can shift your vibration, you can shift your beliefs, you can heal yourself, and you can reclaim your multidimensional consciousness if that's your intention, and you do it in a grounded way, because at the end of the day, it's already happening. So you don't need to do much. Just, like either take your hands off the wheel and let it happen, or work diligently to refine your frequency.
I was going to say, work diligently. You know, we'll have to wrap up the podcast in a minute, but one thing I'd encourage people to do is, like you say, because I hear that and think, holy shit, can you imagine that? I could just imagine taking a seat and sitting back and watching it,
knowing everything,
watching it all unfold, and you'd say, where's the popcorn? Let's see what's happening here. Like I never get too emotionally caught up into things, invested at all these days. And I think one of my greatest gifts has been to stay curious, open, and just and keep scratching, right? Just keep going. Connecting the dots, find your own way there, find your own, like all these I mean, I've recorded 350 odd podcasts now, I think, like on this Let It In.
Boom. That's a lot.
Yeah, I know, right? One a week for 6 years adds up. But
go guy.
But I would always encourage people to say, you got to find your own way there. You can't take what anyone says for gospel, really, at the end of the day, right?
And It's not really about the future. It's not really about what's going to happen. It's not about the shift. It's about the internal world, because your internal world is creating everything outside. Look at where you feel disempowered. Look at where you feel empowered. Every day, just ask to find more of who you really are, and you will get shown. And hint, it's fucking amazing. It's beautiful and it's bright and it's healthy and it's whole and you feel good. So it's not about whether the aliens are going to land. It's nothing to do with that. And I see a lot of my clients externalizing the shift and how do I activate my light body? But then they're completely ignoring their inner child that's really hurt because their father left. So it's like you can't skip anything. You can't bypass parts of you. So if you're putting too much emphasis on the like excitement of it all, and a lot of material, people are saying stop listening to YouTube for like a month because you're ingesting so many half truths that don't resonate with you. It's filling up your mental realm, and you really need to strip it down, get to basics, and what's coming up for you in your own inner worlds is going to be the healing part for you.
And action it. Take action.
Yeah, and get help if you need help.
Of course.
It's hard.
Of course. And communities, people, things that we do, what we offer, it's all set up to help people. I couldn't have got here without people helping me. And wherever I'm going, I still continue to lean on people, guidance, and stay open. Always stay a student.
You're a connector.
Always stay a student, you know? So, yeah.
And next step for Guy will be opening up your one-on-one sessions where you can remember how they said in Guy's session that he had the ability to read someone's thing. And then they said if the thyroid or some part of the body was imbalanced, you would energetically, holographically place the healed version and then resonate that. And then with your mind consciousness, help that person to shift. So I'm looking forward for a session with you guys.
It's quite funny. I spoke to someone who I did the Akashic training with, and because you practice one-on-one, and you come in, and I was just like, okay, I don't know, go, and then it just fucking started coming in, and she said, why are you doing it? I was like, I don't have time. I'm doing what I do. I do have the workshops, the retreats, and part of it comes through then anyway, But
yeah, you're amalgamating all your gifts into the format, and everyone has different gifts that come through at different times. Yeah. It's just fun. Like, I love that. Stay curious and like keep it lighthearted. None of this is that. Like, don't take it too seriously.
No, have fun.
Don't take anything I've said too seriously either. Like, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful. Thank you. Links will be in the show notes, but if people want to check you out, where can I send them, Katie?
There's heaps of free stuff on my YouTube. Like, go listen to some activations. I just did a reparenting program going back through all of the different phases of your life, recoding being in the womb, recoding the birth, recoding, as by Anna Dea Judith's work, the chakra development ages. That's really beautiful. It's really powerful, actually, on my website. Anna Dea Judith.
Yeah, I had her on the podcast. Yeah.
Oh, my hero.
Oh, there you go.
Man, I need to watch that podcast.
I'll flick it to you. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Long time ago.
Love her.
Yeah. Sorry.
Wow. Yeah. And then I think just my website, I run multidimensional trainings, and there'll be something there that you might like.
Random question before we wrap. How many instruments can you play?
I can sing. I play the French horn at school. I studied clarinet at university. I play the piano. I can play the guitar a little bit. I can play the flute. I play the crystal bowls. Play the drums.
Well, by the way, your voice, my God, is beautiful. Like when it was coming in the session, I was like,
that's not really my voice though. That's like another being channeling through me.
Whatever's coming through you, mate. I was like, wow.
It's pretty crazy. It's a beautiful thing to experience.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel blessed to when I listen back to it. I'm like, whoa, damn.
Yeah.
I don't really associate that as being me, though.
Because obviously I work with Matt a lot, once a fortnight. And for anyone, don't Matt's a sound healer, and he has an incredible voice. But I'm with another male energy. So to actually be held in a female energy with that, with the opposite, go figure, because we have mostly females for some reason come to ours. Even though, come on, man, sort it out, get in the bloody room, Jesus. But,
I know.
But yeah. Come on, man. Yeah. There you go.
Oh, that'd be good.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for listening. If people want to ask questions in the comment section, I can also, when it's released, reply to anything that you want to know.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thanks, Katie. Thanks for lovely.
Thanks, God.
See you on the flip side.
Bye, people.
Bye.